thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We will start off with some introductions with our staff people that are here this morning. So my name is Erin Volk. I am the Director of Dual Credit housed at Lincoln Trail College, and I serve Robinson, Palestine, Oblong, Hudsonville, Red Hill, Lawrenceville, Newton, and Olney high schools. And then I'm going to let my counterpart, Megan, introduce herself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Megan Black, and I'm also a director of dual credit. The schools that I work with are Fairfield Community High School, Edwards County High School, Grayville High School, Mount Carmel High School, Clay City High School, Flora High School, North Clay High School, and our private school partners, Mission 3 Academy, Ambassador Christian, and Full Armor.
So the two of us serve the district through the Office of Dual Credit. And so you may see us in your high school registering you for classes. You may see us meeting with your teachers, meeting with your school counselors and administrators, answering questions about transfer and helping you through different processes and procedures that happen here at the college. We do have 3 other staff members here with us today, and we're going to have them introduce themselves as well. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to have you tell them who you are, what department or location you're at, and then just give them like a very, very 30,000 foot view of what you're going to be here about today. And then just know that each of these individuals will be talking more with you as we move through our meeting.
Good morning. I'm Amber Malone. I serve as the Associate Dean for Admissions and Records. So that means we take care of getting all of your initial paperwork in place, and then we also maintain your long-term record. So as you maybe get ready to graduate, we can help you with that. Or if you move on to a 4-year school, we can also help you send your transcripts.
All right, I'll go next. I'm Carrie Hallam. I'm the Manager of Information Technology Support and Training. Basically, I oversee our IT help desk, and today I will be walking you through how to check if you have an IECC account, and if not, where that admission application is, and just a few little things that are in our systems.
I'll go next. My name is Rachel Dollahan. I am the Director of the Learning Commons at LTC, and I am mostly today going to be talking to you about accommodations for students who might need them, ADA style accommodations. So I'll be talking about that in a bit.
Thank you. So we are going to go ahead and get started. While we do that, if you would go ahead in the chat and just drop your name or names of the people that are there together in your group. And then if you are the student, tell us which high school you are associated with. So that just helps us track and make sure we connect with everybody that was registered. And if you've maybe switched sessions or anything like that, we're able to kind of keep track of what seems to be working for students time-wise. So if you would, in the chat, again, put your name and your location. And if there's more than one of you together, please put the names of your group. All right. So while you do that, we're going to go ahead and get started because we do have quite a bit of good information for you today, and we want to be respectful of your time. So we'll kind of bounce back and forth between Megan and I as we go through these slides before we pass it over to our staff people that are here with us as well. But at any point you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask, or you can drop that in the chat as well. But our goal is to answer your questions. So if you have questions and you think, hey, I don't understand what you're trying to explain to us, this language doesn't feel familiar, I'm just a little confused, I need some further clarification, ask, because a lot of times what we may not realize when we're thinking, hey, I don't really want to ask a question and I'm going to feel stupid, is that a lot of times if you have a question, so does somebody else. And so we invite you to jump in at any point if there's something we can clarify for you. Meg, anything else you want to add before we get started?
No, okay. I'm ready to go.
So just like a real quick kind of note about what is dual credit. Dual credit is a partnership between the college and the high school, and it is a kind of governed by 2 bodies, and that is the Illinois Community College Board, who governs the community college, and then the Illinois State Board of Education, who governs the high schools. And so together they've kind of developed a framework for dual credit that is actually it is written into law called the Dual Credit Quality Act. But underneath that program is how we are able to offer dual credit to our high schools. You want to add anything there, Megan?
No.
Let's get past some of that stuff there. All right. So when we talk about dual credit, typically students are kind of seeking along one of two pathways. We've got what we call our general education courses, and we've got what is our career and technical education. So when we talk about general education courses, kind of like in high school, there's so many buckets that you have to fill as far as general education requirements if you want a transfer associate's degree, or if you want to move on to pursuing a bachelor's, or even further on after a bachelor's to a master's or even PhD program. And those are kind of similar in that you've got so much English and there's so much math and science, and it can vary a little bit student to student, but the idea is that everybody kind of takes these general education courses before they get into their major, where they focus on, this is the career path I'm going into. So that is one pathway that students kind of tackle as a dual credit student, is working towards those general education pieces. The other pathway is what we call career technical education, and career technical education has a goal of moving you into the workforce. And so you are training for a specific job or field to prepare to go into a program. So here at Lincoln Trail, that could be welding or process technology. At OCC, it could be automotive. At Wabash Valley, it could be part of our physical therapy assistant program. It could be a medical lab tech program at Frontier. There's lots of different pathways within career technical education, but it's really helping you work towards that eventual workplace goal of, hey, I'm going to get into a field and work. I'm not going to continue schooling after this, or at least not immediately. I'm going into the workforce. So those are kind of the two paths that students look at whenever they are looking at what kind of dual credit classes to take. So for the general education, we've got this 3-year degree program, and I'm going to let Megan kind of take over and explain what that is and why it's built the way it is.
Sure. So the 3-year degree program is a model that IECC has developed in order to allow students to complete dual credit coursework while in high school, combined with courses beyond high school. So the 3 concept in 3-year degree is junior year as a dual credit student, senior year as a dual credit student, and 1 full year at one of our IECC campuses could equal a completed associate degree in general education. So Erin mentioned the different components in general education degrees. So these are the 5 components within an associate degree. So you'll see you have communications. Within communications, there are 3 courses required: composition 1, composition 2, and speech. In mathematics, there are 2 suggested classes within the 3-year degree program. One specific example of mathematics to note is that the specific math class or classes that a student takes depends on a student's major. The 3-year degree program is created so that the math that we've indicated, the introduction to statistics and college algebra, are generally math classes that are very versatile regardless of a student's program of study. So the college algebra would lend itself more to a business type major, whereas the introduction to statistics would be could be a variety of different majors, including math, but a variety of things. That's why it's important to work closely with an academic advisor to choose the course that would be most beneficial to a student and their pathway. Within science, in the 3-year degree model, there is introduction to biology and general geology. Notice that these 2 science classes fall within kind of 2 different areas of science: physical science and life science. So within an associate degree, there are 2 areas of science that need to be fulfilled. And these are two classes that are general foundational science coursework. For humanities, fine arts, 4 courses that we've identified in part of the 3-year degree program, students need to pick 2 within that to stay on track with the 3-year degree program. Those classes would be Introduction to Ethics, Music and Multicultural America, Forging the American Character, and World History to 1500. This is a sample of courses. Now there are other courses within our catalog that can fulfill those disciplines or potentially fall into elective categories. Within social behavioral sciences, the 4 courses listed there are also general foundational classes. Within social behavioral sciences, we recommend students select 2 of those classes. These are good foundational classes because a lot of times the various courses can serve as a prerequisite to other courses that a student may take in subsequent years.
The other thing I would just add, kind of like you meet with your counselor at the high school, Megan and I do fulfill a similar role of advising our dual credit students. We realize that this is a very broad program. It is not the end all be all or the perfect fit for every student. So, for example, if you are going to be an engineer major, yes, you need college algebra, but your math isn't going to stop there. You're going to continue on past that, and there's additional math courses that you would need. Or if you're going into business, your social behavioral science, you might want to look at something in the economics area. So there is a lot of nuance to matching your classes you're taking to what your future plans are. This is a very generalized suggested list based off what we know works well for most of our students, and especially for students as they're starting their junior year. Some of these classes are, hey, we know this covers most majors, and this would be helpful for 90+% of the things that you want to do. So keep in mind that 3-year degree is a suggested list, and we always highly encourage that you speak with us or speak with your counselor at the high school to make sure classes that you're selecting are the best fit for you and your future plans. So those are the 2 kind of directions you can go with dual credit. Dual credit, we actually offer in 4 different formats. Oh, Jamie, yes, you had a question. Do you want to, you can unmute or you can drop it in the chat, whichever way works for you.
I'll unmute if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to reiterate what you guys just said. So
Yep.
they can you go back to the previous slide?
Absolutely.
Okay. So they can get an associate's degree. 1 year is their junior year, 1 year is their senior year, 1 year at one of your IECC schools. They have to take all of these classes listed except for where you have pick 1, pick 2. But like you said, if there are some that make more sense, this isn't the only options they have.
Correct.
And am I understanding it correctly? Did I reiterate that correctly?
Yes, you did. Yep.
I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. So when I tell my students, because we're teaching a college prep class this year, I think this would be something important to kind of tell them.
Absolutely. And I tried to drop it in the chat. I apologize because it gave me an error message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys that we will upload the video to this page, but we will also have the 3-tier degree. There's a document that kind of talks about what it is and then lists these classes, along with a couple other things we're going to talk about today on our website after this. And we will send out the direct link to the uploads to everybody that's in this session. So Jamie, there will be a document that you're welcome to share with your class. And then if you ever decide you want Megan or I to either Zoom in or come to class and talk with you guys, we're happy to do that. So we are always happy to work with students because like you mentioned, very nuanced, but we want them to kind of be able to map that out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the 2 pathways. There's 4 different ways we offer dual credit. I will tell you that not every school offers every way. So we're just going to kind of run through these so you're kind of aware of what's out there. Realize your school may not offer all of these. So when we talk about type A, we are talking about a class taught at the high school by the high school. So that is where your teacher is employed by the school district and you guys will live on the school's calendar. You'll do everything at the high school. It's all kind of internal to your high school. Type B is also something at your high school, And the difference between A and B is that our person on staff comes to the high school and teaches it. So it's going to follow a slightly different calendar because it would follow the college calendar because it's the college's teacher, but they would still come to you to the high school. So that would be a type B course. And then for type C, this is where we move to online. So some schools do allow students to take online classes. We have what we call distance education, distance classes or synchronous classes where you are at your high school, but you are connected over the internet, virtually on TVs, microphones, and cameras with a classroom at the college and possibly at another high school. So there is a component of cameras, microphones, and everything so those groups can communicate together, taught by the college. And then the last one, type D, is where you actually come to the college to take the class. And so every high school does it a little differently. These are guided by what your high school has available as far as qualified teachers to teach type A. Our teacher availability to come to campus or to offer a synchronous class, and your proximity to the college usually makes a difference too if you could come out to campus for a type D. So those are just the different types that are out there. You may talk to a student at a different high school that has dual credit offered in a way different than what you see at your high school, and that is completely normal. It just has to do with kind of how each school day works and functions and the different staffings available. So if you have questions, you're always welcome to ask us, but just realize that that can kind of differ from school to school. Great. Megan, do you want to talk a little bit about the cost with dual credit here?
Yes, so the cost of dual credit is handled directly between IECC and your high school. So dual credit is offered to students at a reduced cost. The price point of dual credit is dependent on the type, like we just talked about in the previous slide. So the cost of a type A dual credit class for type A dual credit is charged per course. So the difference between a $25 course and a $50 course ties back to the 3-year degree program and some terminology that we call core priority classes, which are classes within that 3-year degree structure we just talked about, and priority career pathway, which is tied to CTE programs, career technical education programs, which is that the other path that we talked about, general education versus career technical education. So generally speaking, if the course is within the 3-year degree program or a CTE course within one of our IECC programs, then that price point is $25. If the course is not part of the 3-year degree program, it would be considered a type A elective course, and therefore that price point would be $50 per course. The type B, C, D priority courses and career pathway courses are differentiated by a reduction in the percentage of standard in-district tuition rates. So as an example, a 1 credit hour currently with IECC is $140. And then with the priority or priority career pathway, that reduction is 30%. So therefore that price per credit hour would be $42. If the course was an elective course, then that price point would be $70 per credit hour. Typically, most classes are a 3 credit hour class. So a 3 credit hour class would be, the fee would be $126. And the 50% rate would be $210. So I just want to kind of reiterate the dual credit pricing and the fee structure is handled directly between IECC and your high school. So IECC will send a statement to the high schools reflecting the enrollment per high school and broken down accordingly by the student's schedule. So the student will never receive a direct bill from IECC for the dual credit fees for the course. Also, another element that plays into this is that IECC bills each school for every student, and how each high school handles that fee structure may vary. So every high school has a different policy for their dual credit fees, whether they absorb that cost directly by the school, or if those those dual credit fees are passed along to the students and their families.
So if you have questions, and you can reach out to us, but also your school office, whether that's your counselor or somebody within your administration team there at your high school, can provide you more details on kind of what the ins and outs and nuances are on the billing side. But if you do ever receive something in the mail from us, please reach out and let us know. It may have to do with a coding issue. It could be a glitch in the system, but notify us if you've ever received anything in the mail asking for a bill. The exception to that would be if you are taking additional classes outside of dual credit, you do receive that bill directly. Those two things bill completely separately. All right, we are going to go ahead and just we're going to skip past our short break here and our game to keep moving along today. So we are going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a college student. So if you are a high school student, in most cases, to my knowledge, if you are sick and you get up in the morning, you're not feeling well, your parent is typically calling into the school and saying, hey, my kid's going to be absent today because they're sick or they've got a doctor's appointment or whatever the case may be. On the college campus, that is not what's going to happen. One, we don't have a central office. Yes, we have a student services office, but we don't have like a school attendance tracking system that everybody has access to. We have teachers that move between different classrooms and they have an office space. They're not located in one spot all day long. If something comes up and you're going to be absent, the direct contact is to the teacher. The other piece of that is that the contact comes from the student directly to the teacher, not the parent notifying that the student is not going to be there. Now, has there been the odd exception of, hey, we did have a student that had a car accident on the way to school, and so their parent had reached out and said, hey, I just need somebody to know they're not going to be there because this happened suddenly and they are dealing with this and couldn't call. That happens, and we can kind of work with some unexpected situations, but the general rule of thumb is that you need to be reaching out to your teacher and letting them know if you're ill or whatever scenario, in which case you're not going to make it to class. The other part of that is if you have a reason you're going to miss class coming up and you know in advance, you need to tell your teacher in advance. It could be you've got a doctor's appointment. It could be you've got a field trip through the high school. Whatever the case may be, you want to communicate with your teacher in advance. Hey, I'm not going to be there. What do I need to do to stay on track? And so really the communication ends and begins with the student. Whenever you join the class, you're going to receive a syllabus. That's the contract between you and the teacher saying, hey, here is what my class looks like. Here's when we meet. Here's when the homework is due. Here's the grade scale, all that stuff. So you're going to follow that syllabus and you're going to be the one in communication with your teacher. We do know that our schedule and the high school schedules do not always match. So many of our high schools are starting this week. We don't start until next week on the 19th. We have spring break, the first full week of March, I believe it is. That is not when some schools have spring break. Some don't even have spring break. So there are some differences between our school schedule and your high school schedule. If it's happening at the high school and your teacher at the high school is teaching it, then yes, you're going to stay with your high school schedule. But if you're coming to campus or you are taking an online class, you need to follow the deadlines that are listed in your syllabus from your teacher. And you need to plan to be in class, even if you're on like an early release day from your high school, or they have in-service, or even up to snow days. Sometimes your high school may call a snow day where we don't. So just be aware of what the college schedule is, and that's something that you need to be following along if you are in a B, C, or D type class. Our next thing is the release information, and I'm going to let Amber talk about this because this is something that is housed within the records department.
So our release of information form works within the guidelines of FERPA, which stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which is a federal guidance that we have. So as a student, we need your permission to share information with your parent or guardian or anyone who helps you with the college process. We do have the right to share information with your guidance counselor because we know that they are sharing in your educational progression, but your parents and guardians do need permission. So you'll see this form and it'll be included with everything that Erin's going to upload. Basically, you put your name on the first line, your social security number or your student ID. If you're aware of your student ID, you can put that on the second line. That third line is really crucial, where you put the names of your parents, guardians, or anyone who's helping you with your educational progress. And so you would put their names there, and we need full names, first and last name of mom or first and last name of dad. Then we want you to initial each of the 6 lines there below. Each one serves a different function. So if you don't want to have allow access to a parent to your grades, then maybe you don't want to sign one of these. Each one has to do with financial aid, the business office, your course schedule, your grades. So you can read through those and decide which one is right for you and which one you're allowing your parent or guardian to access. And then at the bottom, we do need your student signature and the date. And so when you get to that box at the bottom, just stop. That is the way to reverse this. If you ever need to, you can come back into student records and we can reverse it for you as well if you decide you no longer want your parents or guardians to be a part of your academic journey. So this is a form that's available to you. You can always stop by our window in any of our offices to pick that up and complete that form, or it will be in the packet that Erin will upload. I did want to also mention that in our catalog that is available online, we also have our academic calendar. So Erin explained that even if your school does not have class, but maybe LTC is still in session or your college campus is still in session, you need to make sure you're comparing both of your calendars for both your high school and the college one if you're taking college classes with us on our campus.
Thanks, Amber. Megan, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of that interrelationship with our counselors we partner with and kind of what the different times we communicate with them would be?
Absolutely. So we know that you're a high school student and a college student. So we do, Erin and I work closely with your school counselor. Things that we share with the school counselor is situations where maybe a student is falling behind or performing poorly in a course, and we use our early alert system to track that information, and Erin and I receiving information from the faculty regarding a student's progress and if it's having a negative impact on the potential outcome of the course. So in certain situations, we likely would either reach out to the student directly, or we may channel through the school counselor so that the counselor is aware of a student's progress. We want all students to be successful in their courses, and so sometimes we utilize the school counselor to help us reach you as a student to let you know of a situation that needs to improve as far as your academic performance in a course.
And
Sometimes the counselor may reach out to us if a student wishes to withdraw from a course or is having challenges with accessibility, things like that. So just know that the general communication flow is to ensure student success in the courses. Did you want to add something, Erin?
yeah, so Megan mentioned early alerts. So that is our notification system where faculty can send in a report on a student. Those come in for a number of reasons. I just always like to throw out there that the teachers have some discretion on when to send those in. And so you may have somebody that is very active and it's like, hey, they've missed 2 classes. I want somebody to be aware, and we may be reaching out. You may have some instructors that they don't send them in maybe quite as often, or they've got kind of a different tipping point to when it alerts them to send that in. There's some discretion there amongst teachers. So they all utilize and should be utilizing the early alert system to notify us about problems, but there is some teacher communication flow in that can vary from instructor to instructor. It's not going to always be the exact same point for each one. Would you say that's fair, Megan?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, so we've got what we call the types of classes. So face-to-face, where you're meeting with your teacher all the time. We do have a section called hybrid, or a type of class called a hybrid, where you are required to do some online work in place of part of the face-to-face meetings. I know there are several dual credit students who maybe have class that meets Monday and Wednesday, 1 to 150, but you don't have a Friday section. Where some students may have 1 to 150 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What that happens there is that the Friday that maybe students aren't meeting, that there is online coursework for the students. So it's a combination of your meeting with your instructor, plus there is online instruction, not just homework, but instruction happening online in your Canvas. And then we've got fully online classes, and then the synchronous we mentioned earlier, where it's a video set up from high school to high school, high school to college, college to college, whatever the case may be. Whenever you are in class, the general rule of thumb is one or most courses run about 3 credit hours. Some of them could be 4, there's the occasional 5. We do have a few that are 1 or 2 credits. It can vary, but kind of your average class from that 3-year degree plan that we showed you is 3 credit hours. And as far as looking at how the college looks at, and not just our college, but all colleges, look at your time commitment. When you're signing up for a 3 credit hour class, in a fully face-to-face setting, you will have 3 hours a week or 3 50-minute sessions a week with the teacher. You will also have approximately 9 hours outside of class as far as homework and assignments and things that you're completing. Now, is it 9 hours for everyone? Absolutely not. We all know, and it can vary subject to subject. Some students get through things very quickly. Some students may need some extra time. Some classes you'll say, hey, I got through that super fast, but you may take a comp class and you're spending a lot more than 9 hours a week writing a paper. And so a good rule of thumb, plan for about 8 to 9 hours worth of time to work on homework. So the reason we tell you that is twofold. One, do not wait, especially if you have online classes, but any classes, do not wait until Sunday evening to start homework that is due Sunday night. The chances of you getting it done and getting it done well get smaller the closer you are to the deadline before you ever start. And then also, plan time into your week to work on these classes, whether that's your evenings. If you're in an online class and you have a study hall at your school, make sure that you are utilizing that time during the day to work on your class. If you need less time, that's great. You can have extra time back in your week, but kind of plan ahead to kind of give yourself more time than you expect. And then you can always kind of readjust once you get into the swing of things. And know that this course load can change from week to week depending on what kind of assignments and things you have coming up. Anything you want to add on that, Megan?
Just to reiterate, students, we know that you're involved in many things, which makes you a great student and a well-rounded student, but find the balance. And I tell you that now at the beginning of the school year so that the whole semester will go smooth for you. So everyone's balance is different, but please work hard to find that balance of school, extracurriculars, and potentially work with your dual credit classes.
Absolutely. All right, so Amber did share that calendar, which we will link on our website as well whenever we send out all the documents from today's meeting. But just a reminder, we start a week from tomorrow, classes through the college on August 19th. And then our semester will run through, I believe it's the 11th, and then the following week of December, and then the following week is our finals week. If you are taking a type BCD class that runs on the college schedule, you will probably finish your semester before the high school finishes for winter break. You may start later as you come back in January and then finish earlier in May than the high school. So just kind of be aware of those dates. We'll make sure that it's shared on the website. Many of you, if you are taking those types of classes or your high school runs on a semester block, are registered for fall classes. We will register for spring classes starting late October into November and December, and we'll in most cases come to your school. So just kind of watch for that so you can register for spring. And then the college closures are again on that calendar Amber shared. And then one thing we really want to make note of, if you are in a college class and let's say things go awry, you are struggling with it, whether it's due to time commitment, maybe having some issues with the course material, we do want you, we know we have mentioned this early alerts, we want you to reach out early, reach out often if you've got problems, let your counselor know, let us know, let your teacher know, communicate with somebody if you've got problems. But if that happens, we've got a process called withdrawing from a class. And what that is, instead of taking a either poor or not passing grade, maybe like a D or an F, you can withdraw from the class and it puts a W on your transcript. There are some benefits to having a W in that it doesn't impact your GPA and it allows you to stay away from those low grades. But there's only a certain window for that. It is not all semester long. So a college semester for us is 16 weeks. Withdrawal deadline is the first 13. So you can get out of a class up to the first 13 weeks of it. After you pass week 13, which this fall will fall at, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Thanksgiving. I knew it was there. Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, you have to take whatever grade you earn in the class. So just kind of be aware if you are struggling or having problems, make sure you're communicating with someone so that we can help talk you through if a withdrawal is appropriate and what that looks like and when that's got to happen by. Our goal is to start you out in college with a good looking transcript, with a good looking GPA. We want you to be successful. And so sometimes a withdrawal is something we see students take, but we don't want them to do that lightly. We want them to have been proactive, done what we could to troubleshoot before we get to that point. Megan, you want to add anything about withdrawals?
In order also to avoid a negative grade, if you're in general education classes and your goal is to complete a bachelor's degree or higher, generally speaking, most schools will not accept anything lower than a C to transfer. So that guideline that Erin mentioned goes for students for IECC, but it extends beyond that as well. Also, something to keep in mind is some courses, for example, Composition 1 requires a C or better in order to enroll in composition and analysis. So there is a sequential order that has to be followed, but also a grade, essentially prerequisite before enrolling in the next level course. So also just another reason to be proactive with your withdrawals so that it doesn't negatively impact your academic record long term.
Absolutely. And there can be implications with financial aid as you transition into college. There's just a lot of ins and outs in that. And that is why our goal is to make sure you're successful as a dual credit student. So again, proactive, advocate if you got problems, let us know if something's going on. We've already talked a couple times about academic calendar. So unless somebody has any questions or raises a hand, I'm just going to kind of move past that. And we talked about with the colleges open, but the high school's closed, you still need to attend class. We do have, and I'm hoping somebody on our staff team can drop it in there, but we do have emergency alerts. As a student, you will sign up with that through your Entrada account. But if we've got any parents, guardians, or other people who want to be in the know in that, like your maybe like Jamie, your school teacher that's impacted with dual credit, there is a link where you can sign up for community alerts. That is free, and you can, we'll drop the link in the chat. You can sign up for that. You will get the emergency alerts for closures. The ones a lot of people think of, we do have snow closures, but there are other reasons. I can tell you at one point, I think we had a water line bust, and whenever we did not have water on campus, thanks Megan, we had to close campus for the afternoon. So there are other scenarios in which it can be good to be on that emergency alert outside of the winter weather season. So we would just encourage you to sign up for those alerts. They are free. You can select to receive them as text messages or to an email, just whatever is the best way for you to receive that information. Carrie, I know we are going to have you actually demo some of this, but do you want to maybe talk just a little bit in this screen and the next about what Entrada and Canvas are?
Yeah, absolutely. So Entrada is basically our portal. A lot of your high schools have something similar. That's where you can, as it says here, you can check your schedule. You'll see at the end of the semester, final grades, class locations. There's just a wide variety of things in there. The emergency alert, there's also a link in there where you can add your text. I will say for emergency alerts, by default, your IECC email is what is used. So unless you add something else, that's going to be where it goes. You can also access the other items mentioned there, but they're also in other locations as well. Primarily, I feel like it's for your schedule, your grades. When you are paying through the college, that's where you'll do billing, financial aid. Transcripts are available there as well. So that's kind of a wrap up of Entrada, and I will show you that in a bit. Okay, Canvas. So Canvas is our learning management system. Again, your high school probably has something similar, maybe Google Classrooms, Schoology. It's basically where the course materials reside. So Entrada is going to tell you what your courses are. Canvas is going to be where that information is. And Canvas is a super easy tool. Most of you should have access to a tutorial that guides you through that. It's also available online. A lot of universities use this, so it's very easy to find instructions about how to use Canvas. And so I don't forget, because I always do, there is also an app that you will be able to download if you choose to for your mobile device for Canvas. To me, the biggest benefit for the app is the notifications. You know, if your instructor cancels class and decides to post that notification or send a message in Canvas, if you have notifications set up for that app on your phone, you'll receive a push notification immediately. So it's a little handier than going in and checking in the class or checking emails. So that'll be something you'll be able to use as well. I don't recommend it as your primary use. If you are especially taking one of the classes with our instructors, they use Canvas very heavily for instruction. So it may be a little bit difficult to take an online exam through your app, but it is there. And I will demonstrate just a little bit about Canvas after a while as well.
Rachel, are you with us at the moment? I know you said you had to step away for a second.
I am still here, yes.
Can I have you talk about NetTutor real quick?
Sure can. So NetTutor is our online tutoring system. It is 24 hours, usually live, sometimes in those later hours, like 2, 3 in the morning. It might take a little bit longer, but you guys won't be using it then because you'll be in bed because you have school the next day. So NetTutor is free for any student with in IECC to use. It's not an extra charge to you. As a matter of fact, the tuition dollars go to funding things like this. So I always say, you know, it's your money. Utilize the services that it's paying for. So we have the tutoring center. That's where you show up. You can request a specific subject, and a tutor will jump on anywhere from 30 seconds to, I think the longest wait time is usually maybe 30 minutes. But it's not a super long wait time. And that's some live chat. You know, you can do it live, face to face, right at the moment. You can drop a question off to be answered in whoever's time. There's various different ways with the live chat and things. There's different, like there's a whiteboard space that the tutor can actually kind of draw and write things and show you different problems and stuff. There's the writing center. You have an essay and you need to have it reviewed by somebody. You've already had it peer edited, maybe by a fellow classmate, but you just want another set of eyes on it. You can upload your paper and somebody will go through it, make suggestions, edits, things like that. All the people behind that tutor are actually, they're not just random folks. These are people with education degrees in the fields that they're covering. And I would list all the subjects, but we'd be here for another 30, 40 minutes. So I'm not going to do that. And the beauty of NetTutor, you don't have to go to a special website or anything. You can actually log in from your Canvas. So when you go into a class, there's this whole list of all these different options, and NetTutor is usually right at the bottom. You'll actually see that when they go through Entrada later, Canvas later. But it's a really nice way, with you guys being in high school, not always necessarily being on the campus, or even if you are, you don't have extra time between classes. You got to get back to your school. This is a great way for you to get some tutoring in. Working with people knowledgeable in the subjects. And again, it's not like you don't have to come to me and sign up for it. It is right there ready for you to use. There's no time limit, things like that. Oh, I see a hand.
So I was a tutor for undergraduate and graduate students for a college once, and they had to schedule an appointment with us. Are these live people that I can just click on and see and try to get help, or is it where you have to schedule an appointment?
So funny enough, it's both. You can just jump on, like I said, depending on the time and how busy they are, it could take anywhere from 30 seconds to 30 minutes before you get connected to the tutor. But usually, like I said, that longer wait time is more in those wee morning hours. Or you can schedule a tutoring session, or like I said, you can just drop off a question and come back later to check it. So yeah, there's multiple options. So yeah, you can absolutely make it work around your schedule. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yeah. And that's the basic rundown in NetTutor. Always feel free to call the Learning Commons if you have any other questions though.
And the Learning Commons do also have some live tutoring too. You can always stop in there. But like Rachel mentioned, we know a lot of you have to get back to the high school, or you've got commitments after school or during your day. So this NetTutor is just a great virtual option that has a lot of availability. So we did mention final exams earlier. You've got your class that will run, and then we will actually have final exams. They don't always match your class time, and it will be in your syllabus from your teacher that says this is when we'll have our final exam, and we'll tell you where it is, when it is, all those things. A lot of times they do match, but every once in a while they can be a little different. So make sure you're paying attention. And then we'll have final exam dates in spring. These are all on the calendar that Amber provided earlier. And then our last thing in this little section here is transcripts, and we're going to have Amber jump back on and talk with us a little bit about those.
All right. So the one thing we want you to keep in mind is that as you start your college career, it is something that will follow you going forward forever. And so when you're making the commitment to a dual credit class, that does go onto your official college transcript, and any and all colleges that you attend from here on out will ask for previous college transcripts. So you will have to provide those. We make it very easy for you to access your transcript. So if you're getting ready to go into employment, or you're going on to a four-year school and you need your transcript, you can easily go to iecc.edu/transcript, and I will drop that in the chat. There you can use the National Student Clearinghouse to request your transcript. It can be sent to you as a PDF through email, or it can be sent to a school. All the schools are in the system, so you just pick which school it needs to go to. Or if you have an email address for an employer or someone else, maybe a scholarship committee that needs your transcript, you can go ahead and go in and put in their email, and it will go directly to them. Keep in mind that a transcript is official if it goes directly from the school to another organization. It stays official. If the transcript goes from the college to you, it becomes unofficial because basically your hands have touched that transcript, and so therefore it becomes unofficial. So if a school says they want an official transcript, it needs to go directly from our institution to their institution.
The other thing we always like to remind dual credit students about, and Amber, you can feel free to chime in here. When you send your high school transcript, it may note your class as dual credit. That is not enough documentation for your next institution. They do require that you send both your high school and your transcript from here at the college to accept the college level credit. If you take and you send your transcripts in the spring, but you decide to pick up a class with us over the summer, you're going to have to send your transcript again because they are not going to have a grade for your summer class whenever you send that transcript in May. And so just kind of be aware that there are ins and outs in transcripts, that if you take another class, you'll have to send it again, or that the high school transcript alone is not enough for dual credit. Because we have had students come back and say, I never got credit for this class. And we've dug down into the situation and found out, hey, you didn't send the college transcript, you send that over, it's going to take care of it. I will tell you, especially in the state of Illinois, and Amber, I'll let you speak to this a little bit too. We've got something called IAI, or the Illinois Articulation Initiative, which makes transfer very, very easy. If you are going to a private institution though, or outside the state, sometimes there's more questions about classes and they need more information to give you credit. That is part of Megan and I's job, is to support you as you transfer on. So if you ever run into a situation where they're like, hey, I need some documentation, I need more information about this class, please reach out to your school, who will direct you to us, or you can reach out to us directly. Amber, do you mind to talk a little bit about IAI and how that works within the state of Illinois?
Sure. There's a great website called Transferology. We'll drop that in the chat as well. And that's basically where you can go to see where IECC courses, how they transfer to the other four-year schools in the state of Illinois. You can also bundle them all together and then transfer with that bundle to a state school. And then that kind of negates some of the requirements that you have at that state school because you've already taken care of them while you've been with us. So IAI is a great thing, especially if you know, hey, one of the schools on my list to transfer to is in the state of Illinois and is a state school, then we can help you really build and craft your schedule so that it transfers directly and fulfills a lot of the things that they'll need so you can hit the ground running when you get there.
I will say there are a lot of border schools that we deal with a lot. University of Illinois, or Illinois, that's in Illinois. University of Illinois is in Illinois, in case you didn't know. University of Evansville, University of Southern Indiana, Indiana State, even some within the border along Missouri. I know we've got some schools in Kentucky that we have a number of students transfer to. Don't be afraid that things aren't going to transfer if you're going out of state, especially some of the more common ones in our Midwest area. A lot of times we already have relationships in place with them, but just kind of be aware that Illinois, there is a little bit more of a guarantee with that IAI and some of the support that's built in within the state. But don't hesitate to ask questions if you say, hey, I want to know how this class is going to transfer. All right, Rachel, we are back to you.
There we go. Didn't think that camera was going to come on this time. Okay, so I'm back. Not only do I do tutoring services for the campus, I also am in charge of student accommodations. So the reason Erin has me talk about this is because there are some differences between K through 12 accommodations and higher education accommodations. So we have a different focus than K through 12. So those of you who maybe have an IEP or a 504, there's a lot of different meetings, there's a lot of different things that are put into place. Really, the big difference is with K through 12, the keyword is success, and with higher ed, the keyword is access, which kind of sounds bad, like we don't want you to, but we do want you to succeed. We're just focused on the access part. So we don't do 504s or IEPs. However, we do require documentation stating your disability. So we do accept IEPs or 504s as that documentation. And your parents will probably have a copy, the school will have a copy, things like that. So, and I don't need the original document, just a copy. So the process for getting accommodations as a student here at LCC, or any IECC school, I should say, we have a form. It is the Disability Services Request Form. You fill that out with just some basic information. And you also have that, again, a copy of some sort of official documentation stating your disability, IEP, 504, an official doctor's note on like the clinic's letterhead, things like that. Then we meet, I go over your paperwork. We talk about different, hey, that's my face. We talk about different accommodations that maybe you've had at school, maybe, you know, what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked. The big difference is we do what's called reasonable accommodations. That means accommodations that do not put any undue hardship on the college. And that's pretty broad and pretty big. So far, in 2 months, I've had probably over a dozen accommodations meetings, and I have yet to run into anything that is outside of our scope or would put undue hardship. So, but we have this conversation. I type up a letter saying, hey, this student needs these accommodations. Some common things we usually have: extended test time, excuse absences for medical reasons. Sorry about my phone. Just things like that. We have this conversation. I type up this letter. And then once I have the letter typed up, I will give it to you, the student, and it is your responsibility to get it to your instructor. I do not email those. I do not mail those out. That is specifically for you to do. And then after that, it's really just if there are issues with those accommodations being met, you come see me. If you plan on doing a dual credit both semesters, so let's say you are doing dual credit in the fall and you're going to do another dual credit class in the spring, we'll need to have another conversation before right at the beginning of the spring semester. So when we set these accommodations, it is just per semester. And that is just because you may find out in that fall semester, oh, I asked for preferred seating in the front, but that's too much. It's you know, I have autism and it's very overstimulating and I can't do that. Well, then we need to fix that. I'm just here to make sure you have the access to the education that you need. And sometimes that changes. Sometimes we don't know exactly what we need because we've maybe just been diagnosed and we need to do some different things to figure it out. So that's why it's always an interactive, ongoing process. Now, parents, if there are any parents on here, it is imperative. I have to tell you this. They brought up the release of information earlier. I cannot talk to any parents, even though your students are minors. I cannot talk to you without that release of information. I can't give you any. I can't. To be 100%, I'm not even sure I can say if I met with the student or not. It's a confidentiality thing. So parents, if you want to be involved, you need to make sure that release of information is signed. And then I can, you know, if I hear that the parent wants to be in, I can call Amber. Hey, Amber, does the student have a release of information on file? She says, yes. All right, cool. You're part of the conversation now. Otherwise, unfortunately, I can't talk to you. So, but yeah, it's a pretty chill process compared to maybe how it's done in the high school. And again, that's just because of the different natures of the kind of educational facilities we are. We're different from K through 12 in a lot of ways. This is one of those ways. That being said, I take my job very seriously, and my goal is to make sure that those barriers, whether it's needing extra, you know, test time, things like that. My goal is to make sure those barriers are brought down as much as possible to make sure you get the education you deserve. So, like I said, it's a quick process. I mean, I think half hour tops has been my longest meeting. It's a very easy process, but it's a very important process if you know that you need these accommodations. So once again, feel free. I will actually meant to do this earlier. I will upload the disability form and some other papers that I usually give out with it. There will be the disability services request form. I will also see if I can add on our list of common accommodations that we do that I've seen pretty frequently. The lady before me had seen quite a bit. And I will also do my best to upload the paper that has basically this entire process I just told you, as well as what to do if, like, say, I deny you and you need to appeal, things like that. So I will get those uploaded for you, Erin, hopefully, if I can figure it out. And if not, then that stuff, if not, then the form for disability services request is on the IECC website as well.
And Rachel, if you have electronic copies you want to send me, we'll just upload them with all the documents from today. We'll keep it all housed in one place too. Yeah.
Great, then I'll just do that. All right, cool, thank you.
All right, so Rachel is located on the LTC campus. We do have a director of the Learning Commons on every campus. That's whose faces you see on your screen right now. And if you can't get a hold of somebody on one campus, please feel free to try another, let us know. But we do have a location and a director who is part of this process on every campus. Right. We are nearing the end of our hour here. And so we've got a few videos to share. I want to make sure that we get some time for Carrie to give you that quick tour of Entrada and Canvas. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and have Carrie jump on and share her stuff. And then we'll make sure we get through that. And then if you have to jump off at any point, totally understand. These videos and slides will be on the website afterwards, so you can always circle back and catch those at another time if you do have to hop off, since we're nearing kind of the wrap up here. Carrie, are you ready?
I am, thank you. I'm going to make this very brief. I do want to start out by saying, if anyone has questions about anything I'm covering today or don't cover, since we're going through it so quickly, please reach out to the help desk. And you can find that information all over the website. Just type in help desk and you'll find our contact. Erin and Megan also may be able to assist in questions. I want to start out by first of all mentioning the release of information has been talked about a couple times. Unfortunately, when it comes to accounts, that does not apply to accounts. We will only give account information to the student. Now that student is welcome to sit with someone and call in, and as long as we can verify that they're there. We also work with the guidance counselors a lot with the students to help them when it's, in regards to password resets, setting up multi-factor, things like that. So I do want to mention that. And let me get started by talking about our accounts first. So we have a My IECC account that's going to basically get you access to everything. You will often hear our staff refer to it as an Entrada account or a Canvas account. It's all the same thing. It is the IECC email address that we give you, and then you set a password. In order to get one of those accounts, you do need to fill out the admission application. A lot of you may have already done this in the spring with your high school class. I'm going to show you how to check to see if you have an account. You'll just start out on our main iecc.edu page, and you'll click on My IECC. And right here, you can enter either your social security number or your student ID if you have it. Once you enter that information, it will tell you if you have an account or not. If it says you do not, then we'll jump over to the admission application. If it says you do, you can literally click this link right here, pull up our contact information, give us a quick call, and we can reset it. If you have been into your account before, but you just don't remember the password, you can also just click Forgotten Password. You do have to get into the account and set up those recovery options before that will work. Otherwise, a quick call to us. Let me jump real quick to the admission application area before we log in. And it's, again, just on the main website, except you'll click Apply. You'll scroll down, locate the College of Admission, click on that link, And then most likely you don't already have an account if you've never done this before. The admission application account is your own personal login. This allows you to get in and out of the application. As a dual credit student, you'll fill one of these out. And then if you decide to return to us as a first-time freshman, you will fill another one out stating that you have changed and now you're a different college level. So you would typically just hit create account. If you're not sure, go ahead and do create account, and you'll get partway through the process and it will tell you, hey, you've already got an account, you need to reset it. So it will let you know, or you can contact the help desk. So back to our systems. When you go to log in with us, you'll always go to start out with this My IECC. I said always, but if you end up using the Canvas app, you may not go this route. You're going to select this login, and the information you will receive is going to come from us. It's going to be accounts@iecc.edu once you've completed that admission application and our records group has processed that. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my information. If I was on a public computer, I would say no, but I'm on my own personal, so I'm going to say yes, and it's going to prevent me from having to enter my username and password every time. So the My IECC dashboard is going to populate. Now, if you're just getting into your account for the first time, it can take sometimes up to 2 hours before you will see these other buttons. Normally, you'll just see Entrada, and you may even see a message. If you are not registered for classes, same thing. You will only see the Entrada and it will tell you your account's limited. And again, it could take a couple hours after that registration, then these other buttons will populate. You most likely won't see these buttons at all. These are more for employees, but you should see these as well. We talked earlier about emergency alerts. You can access it there or through Entrada. The timely care is here, and then billing if it pertains to you. So jumping into Entrada. Typically, this is what's going to come up. If there's any news or information, it may show here. Students menu is where you're going to find your current schedule. It will list the location of the course, the times, and if there is a syllabus posted, it'll list it there as well. You can also print your schedule here. We talked earlier about transcripts. That's also located under the student, and you can go to this area here or go to the site that was posted earlier about transcripts. At the end of our semester, you will get a final grade posted. That can also be accessed here under the students menu. There's lots of information in here, and some of this will pertain to you more as a regular college student later in years. I mentioned the alerts. There's also a link here. Bookstores, there's various places where you can go into your account first and then access the bookstore instead of trying to randomly find it online. So that's just a really, really quick overview of Entrada. Get in there, poke around, you won't hurt a thing, and all of your information, if you're currently registered, should be accessible now. Back to the dashboard, I do want to mention the email. You do have a full-fledged IECC email address. You can access that in various places as well, but a quick link to do that is under here. You are able to forward that email if you'd like to a personal email address. I will tell you, I would discourage using the IECC email to sign up for anything like your Netflix or anything personal like that, because once you're no longer a student, you don't have access to that email. Let's jump real quick into Canvas. Canvas is typically where the materials is going to be housed for any classes, especially the ones that are taught by our instructors. There's also various tools in Canvas. Even if you are not using one of our instructors, you can access the Canvas dashboard. There just may not be actual content. Most of you should hopefully have the Getting Started tutorial. That's going to just take you through a quick overview of all of our systems. It's going to talk about Entrada, and it's going to teach you how to use some things in Canvas. Again, anytime you have questions about any of this, contact us at the help desk. We're happy to help. So Canvas is driven by course start dates. So if you are taking one of our classes on campus or online, our start date is the 19th. When you come into Canvas today, if you do that, you're probably not going to see that course showing here. Those won't pop up until Wednesday. You should be able to, however, go to the courses section here and pull that information up and see that there are future courses. If you are taking an online class or hybrid class with us, please get into that Canvas course on day one. That is how our instructors are going to know if you are attending the class. The most common questions or issues I get from dual credit students in regards to Canvas is either they can't find the class, and that may be because the class hasn't started yet, or we also have a withdrawal process that is done by our instructors. If you are not doing well in the class, they've notified you, or you've just not been popping into class at all, you may be dropped at certain points in our semester. So if your class has disappeared, I encourage you to jump into Entrada, look at your schedule and see if that's the case. And if so, then you'll want to reach out to your instructor to see why you were dropped and possibly about reinstatement. Again, those are things we can help you with. So feel free to contact us and we can get you to the right people. All right, Erin, I think that's going to be all I'm going to talk about. So if you have anything else, let me know.
I think we are going to, since we are a little past the hour here, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I did mention there are a few videos. They are ones that we show in our normal orientation. Reiterate some information on disability services. NetTutor does talk about Timely Care, which is our mental health services. Those will all be shared in the slides that will be uploaded on our website. So please feel free to check those out. We want you to use and see those services, but we also know that you've got other things going on with your day-to-day. So I'm going to ask one last time if anybody has any questions. Megan and I will stay on here. Carrie, if you don't mind, hang around just in case anybody has any quick IT questions. We'll hold tight for a few minutes, but otherwise, thank you so much for coming. If you are unsure about your accounts, if you are set up or you have questions, you can hang on and kind of start the conversation with us, or you can always call our help desk at any time. But we encourage you to check in, make sure you've got that set up before classes start again on August 19th. Megan, anything else you'd like to add? Oh, and Carrie just dropped the help desk phone number in the chat too. So
yeah. One thing I will add, for those of you that are doing online dual credit classes or any class, but specifically online, please make sure that you log in on day one of classes, because that is your way of showing that you are actively pursuing the course. So now is the time to contact the help desk if you have not accessed your account. Try it now, so that when day one comes on August 19th, you are ready to go with no issues, so you can pursue your class and see that course content as soon as it becomes available.
okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.